I'm going to be taking you along on a realistic week in my life as an independent author. And I just kind of wanted to chat while I make myself a tea. So just to give you an idea, I've done this much. Ooh. Do I have another chai with me? Yes, of course I do. Have I been using the same mug all week? Absolutely. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Meadow Marie and I am an independent fantasy and romance author. For this video, I'm going to be taking you along on a realistic week in my life as an independent author. This week is going to be very busy. I am working quite a bit, and because I just came back from a vacation, I'm also trying to get some admin work done as well. So I don't know how much editing I'm going to be able to do, but I think it's a good look into what a busier week for me can look like, considering my last few videos have been very heavy on actually having the time to write. So this week, I am very excited to say that I am starting on the third draft of my main project, which has been temporarily titled Project Pirate. This is what she looks like. I have printed her out. This isn't normally something that I do. I have never printed out a manuscript like this before, and I don't really have any reasoning for that, other than the fact that I just couldn't be bothered to do it before, and also it's a lot of paper and ink to do this sort of thing, so I was always just not really inclined to do it. I think that is really reflected in my previous writing processes, so I wanted to try a different way to do it this time around, and I have a very calculated and structured 4-step plan for how I'm going to edit this draft, which I've never done before, but I just want to give you guys an idea. So, step 1, I am reading through the manuscript and taking notes on things to return to. Because it has been about a month and a half, probably over that, since I've even looked at this manuscript, I really want to just read it and figure out what the story is. When I edit, typically I would just read it through the one time and edit as I go and call that a draft. And I just don't think that was very beneficial for me. So this time I'm going to be just reading it, and I'm taking a couple of notes here and there in terms of things that I know I want to come back to, chapters that I think can probably be reworked, pacing that needs to be changed, that sort of thing. So that is my first read through, which I have started this morning. Step 2 is to be going back through and doing line edits. It has been very difficult to not want to physically edit this manuscript right now, but because I know I just want to take a look at the story for what it is, I haven't been doing it. But on step 2, I will be marking the manuscript with a pen, crossing out stuff, taking notes in the margins, that sort of thing. Step 3, I'm going to be returning to my electronic document and importing all the changes from the printed one over into that one. That is going to be a lot of actually doing the rewriting of certain chapters or certain sections and that sort of thing. Step 4, I'm going to be doing another pass of the draft and making any big changes, ensuring all the notes that I took have been implemented, that sort of thing. Those notes being what I'm taking in step 1, but also some notes that I had written down after I finished draft 2, because I knew that even then there were some things that I was going to want to rework and take another look at. As I said, this morning I've gotten started on reading the story. It has been a lot of fun. I've made it to chapter 15 now, so I'm about 44 pages through. I realize I've just explained what my editing process is going to look like, but I actually haven't talked about what the story is. This story, Project Pirate, is a Greek mythology-inspired sapphic pirate novel. It is following the story of my main character, Ren, who has just taken on the mantle of captain and is trying to prevent a siren curse from inflicting her ship and her crew. It has found family. It is, like I said, a sapphic romance. It is a lot of queer representation, and it is just so full of fun and adventure, but also some heartbreak. I love it so much. I made major changes in this story in my last draft. If you follow my Instagram, you might have seen that this used to only be in 3 parts essentially, but I added an entirely new Act 3 to the end of this book. When I was editing draft 2, I realized that by the time I got to the end, the story actually wasn't finished. And so I impulsively outlined an entire back half of the novel and realized that I needed to make the story continue because it wasn't finished yet. So I went from about 45,000 words to 70,000 words in that draft. I am so pleased with that decision because in my first draft, it felt strange ending the story where I did, and now I understand why. And I've also been able to develop these relationships more and really figure out why I am writing the story that I am. So I'm going to do some more reading of this manuscript this afternoon. I am going to be working some pretty long days over the next 2 days, so I may not be able to do any more reading until the weekend. So let's see how much I can get done today. Hello, I am back. I guess I'm taking a little bit of a break here, and I just kind of wanted to chat while I make myself a tea. I have reached halfway through the draft, or halfway through the manuscript. Technically, I'm over halfway now, just by a little bit, probably by maybe 10 pages or so. I am in part 3 of this story. The way that I have structured this story is that it's in 4 parts, and each part has a certain subtitle that kind of shows the progression of my main character. So for instance, the part 1 is called The Pirate. I'm at an interesting point here right now that since I'm halfway through, I'm kind of seeing the greater picture of the story, and I'm really starting to understand what needs to be improved, what needs to be worked on, and what really works already as it is. And because I've reached this certain point, I am actually finding that I'm taking less frequent notes, because I just think that overall, I think there is a general note to myself that I just want to adjust the pacing and how some of the chapters are structured. Right now, some of them feel a little too, I don't want to say like, some of them feel a little too immature or just underdeveloped in the way that they're written. And a lot of these chapters are brand new from the last draft that I had added. So that kind of makes sense as to why I would feel that way. I'm just finding that I'm going to have to do a lot of rewriting, which isn't a bad thing. I think it'll be beneficial for the book in a whole. But after being able to read the first half of this book, I can kind of see which chapters are stronger than others. The ones that are stronger are typically the ones that have had 2 drafts of now, which makes sense. But there are some within those that I don't really like. I feel that even within the last, we're September, even within the last 8 months of this year, I have grown and I can see a shift in my writing, which is very interesting to me. I believe I wrote the first draft of this novel at the beginning of this year. And so even seeing the difference between then and now, I think there's a really great change. It could be just because of how much I've been writing and all the challenges that I've been doing with my writing, but I think it's potentially also to do with the greater expanse of reading I've been doing. Recently, I've been reading well out of my comfort zone. I've been trying to read some more classics, some more literary fiction. I actually have a goal for myself to read a lot of banned books this year as well, so I've been kind of doing that. I've been getting a lot more reading in that is different than what I'm used to. So I think that could be a reason why I feel like my writing has shifted and why I know it is so important to read out of your comfort zone, because then it gives you the ability to write out of your comfort zone as well. So as I move into the second half of this book here, I am becoming very aware of what changes I know that I want to make. All right, I have my tea ready. I made myself, what did I make? A Saigon chai with some homemade pumpkin syrup that I made yesterday. I think I'm ready to continue reading. Okay, so it is about 5 o'clock now. I think it's about time to end my reading for today. For the most part, I like to take my evenings off. It gives me a little bit more of a work-life balance. So I don't think you'll see anything from me for tomorrow or Friday. Hopefully though, I will have time on Saturday to come back and finish reading the manuscript. I have about 40-ish pages left to read. I have part 4 left, so I should be able to get that done in a pretty decent amount of time, and then it's on to my line edits, which I'm quite excited for. So until then, I'll see you later. The framing in this shot is specifically so I can show off a little bit of the art on this wall, and so it's not just like empty space. Hi, welcome back. I have finished doing the line edits of part 1. It was very interesting to see what I was scratching out, just to kind of give you an idea. Where's my first page? This is my first page. So a lot of scratching out up here at the top, because this is where a lot of where I was saying before, my exposition stuff was really happening. And so I kind of scratched out a lot of that and just giving myself little notes throughout for sections that I want to maybe rework. This is the first part done. I've changed locations because of a few, mostly for comfort. I don't have a proper desk chair. It's something that I've been trying to search to find one for me. I'm sitting on one of our wooden dining room chairs that has a cushion on it, and it is not ergonomic whatsoever and really starts to hurt. I have decided to move out onto the couch, which is that ergonomic? No, but I'm going to be more comfortable at the very least. And so that's why I've moved out into my living room. So I'm going to carry on and go into part 2. This is the part where the inciting incident has taken place, and now my main character is going to be really dealing with one of the major conflicts, which is a very inner conflict with herself on whether or not she's worthy to be captain. I don't know how much to talk about the actual plot, because it's not like I want to give away what the book is about or to give any people ideas on to take this concept, even though nothing is original nowadays. As I'm learning how to do these longer form writing vlogs, I'm trying to find a balance between sharing my process and what the project is about while not sharing every little bit of information. I am not sure what is interesting for an audience quite yet. So as you're watching these videos, I would love to hear what you guys want to see. Are you more interested in the process that I do, or are you more interested in actually hearing detailed explanations of what this book is about? Because I could go into great detail about this novel. I have so much lore and world building and characters that I would love to talk about, but I don't know if, one, it's interesting enough or if it's too much of a spoiler. Anyway, this is just a little check-in about what I've been doing and kind of going into what I've been struggling with a little bit, I suppose. I don't know if it's that much of a struggle, but alas. I'm gonna keep doing my edits here. I will check back in a bit. Back. So I have reached exactly a third of the way through the manuscript. So just to give you an idea, I've done this much. Ooh. I think I'm about halfway through part 2, if I'm remembering correctly, in terms of just the page count here. I've done a lot of edits. I'm making some changes here. I found out, funnily enough, that some minor characters that are just essentially have like 1 or 2 lines in the beginning of the book that I then added later on in the most recent part. I switched them around at one point while I was drafting. So just to give you an idea, their names are Fillmore and Reed. And originally when I had written them in, Fillmore was an older gentleman on the ship, and then Reed was like a big burly kind of just brawn guy. I don't know if that makes sense. But then when I wrote them in later on, I think I got confused by who was who. And because I didn't do any characterization sheets on them, I switched them around so that Reed is the older guy and then Fillmore is the other one. I'm now switching that around. And it makes sense to me that Reed is the older one. So I actually like what I ended up changing it to. But somewhere along the way, they got confused. And I feel bad for my beta readers who read through this draft, because it meant that they were probably also confused about who the heck Fillmore and Reed are. Anyway, that's just a funny thing I noticed while going through this. I think I'm going to be done for the day. It is, I think, almost 4 p.m. As much as I love editing, I think I'm getting a little bit fatigued from it right now, and I kind of want to take the rest of my day to do something not productive. But anyways, I just wanted to give you guys an update, and I will see you guys tomorrow for some more editing. And welcome back. So it is now Sunday. I have a few hours to do some more editing this afternoon. I don't really have much in terms of an update this morning, or this afternoon. It is 1 p.m. But I just kind of wanted to check in before I get started. Do I have another chai with me? Yes, of course I do. Have I been using the same mug all week? Absolutely. I feel like we're kind of matching here though right now, because I'm also wearing strawberries, and that's, you know, on a farm. Cows are on a farm. I think it just makes sense. I left off a third of the way through the manuscript yesterday for my line edits, so I'm gonna head in and do this. I think I'm gonna try to at least get through another third of this, which is very possible. I don't know how much more I'm going to do, but we're just gonna see. We're just gonna see. I'm just yapping for the sake of yapping. So let's just get into this. Hello once again. So it has been a few hours since I checked in. I have edited through another third of the novel. So now that I am 2/3 of the way in, I am going to be taking a break now for the rest of the day. I haven't had a manuscript feel quite as draining to edit in a while, and not because I'm not having fun with it, because I definitely am. It's more that since I am taking the time to go line by line through this printed manuscript, it is taking more of my focus that is just feeling more mentally draining. So I think that's why I haven't been able to do quite as much at a time. I say that, although my thirds of a draft have been 50 pages each. So I read and edited through 50 pages today, and that is a lot. I just think that part of my imposter syndrome and part of my perfectionism is sort of getting in the way and thinking that I'm not doing enough editing when I am doing enough editing. 50 pages is a lot to go through in one sitting. But alas, I am done for the day. The rest of this week is going to be interesting since I am working quite a few shifts, but they're kind of sporadically all over the place. So you might see me in the morning, you might see me in the evening, in the afternoon. It really depends. I'm going to try to get done what I can this week, but we will see how that goes. I'm excited to see that by the end of the week how much editing I'm able to get done, since this has been quite a busy week. You would have seen I made some bread this morning, and now I'm probably going to do some more baking this evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hello and good morning. It is Tuesday now, and it is the last day of this vlog. Yesterday, I had work in the morning, and when I got back, I was doing a lot of content creation for my Instagram. After that, I really did not have any motivation to do any editing, which is why you didn't see anything from me yesterday. I really thought that I was going to get to it, but since work and creating my content took so much energy out of me, I really wanted to take the evening off. Today, I am back at it. I've already started doing more edits this morning for this manuscript. I am almost done. I have about 30 pages left here to do, which I think I will get finished today. So as I've mentioned before, this last section of the book here is essentially a first draft because it is all new content that I made when I wrote my last draft. Instead of having a lot of sentences being scratched out and that sort of thing, I wrote a note to myself at the top of this section saying that assume that everything is going to be rewritten in some way or another, just so I'm not like every section going, rewrite this, rework this section. I am still highlighting major sections that I know, like especially for the more action-packed scenes, I know for sure these ones are going to be rewritten. This section really needs to be looked on. So I'm still marking those ones down, but essentially this whole part of the book is going to be revised in a major way because it is lacking a lot of substance for me since it is a first draft, and I essentially just wanted to make sure that the plot points were there, the dialogue was written, and like minor actions were being done. So when I get to this part, when I'm revising, like actually revising the novel, so I'm just going to continue doing this and seeing how much I get done this morning. I have until about 12:30 in order to get this done today. After that, I have some errands I gotta do and then another shift at work. So I'm really hoping to get this part of the editing process done. I think I can do it. 30 pages, I feel like I can go through and edit, especially considering I know that a lot of this is being revised anyway. Let's get into this. All right. So I have finished going through the line edits for Project Pirate. I think it's 70,000 word manuscript, has now been read over twice. I have plenty of notes in my notebook for what major things I need to go back and do, and I also have a ton of line edits within here for things that I want to rework and revise. And so this is going to be the end of this vlog. In my next video, you will see me actually doing the revision process on the electronic document on the Google Docs. I will probably be starting that next week on Monday. I'm still working quite a bit this week, and so in between, I'm going to be editing this video so that it goes up on time. I don't think I'll be working too much on this manuscript until you see me next. So that is the end of this vlog. I really hope you enjoyed. I know it's a little bit interesting just to like watch me read and do line edits. I hope that at the very least you found my little musings to be entertaining and maybe insightful. I don't know. When I see you guys next, it's going to be a lot of revising, and hopefully I can start sharing with you guys some snippets of this novel because I think that would be a lot of fun. I just fear doing that at the stage that it's in right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested in more of my content, please consider subscribing and liking this video. I also have an Instagram at Meadow that I do a lot of short form content and much more day-to-day stuff. I will see you guys next time. Bye.